So we'll go into the discussion proper. And, I'm very, very passionate about this topic, particularly because, we can agree that between 2020 and now, like I said earlier, there's been a lot of shutdown, especially in the startup space. After the wave of the COVID 19, then we started seeing that a lot of companies either do not actually know what they do, what they want to do, or they don't know how to pivot because they don't know how to adapt to change. It could either be that they have mismanaged a lot of things. Nobody can tell. They know what is wrong with them. They know what is going on with them. And some of them, it could be because, well, they've been struggling for a long time due to policies. But whatever the case is, how can they navigate all of these hurdles that is surrounding the forced closure of their businesses? So potentially, every other person who would possibly listen would understand that, okay, these are the things that I need to do. These are the things that I need to be aware of to ensure that I do not fall into the pit of, okay, because it is government policy, right? Because government policy. Well, even if it is government policy, how do you pivot? How do you navigate? How do you have the mindset of, okay, the next thing I need to do is to find solution, either through partnership, through collaboration, or something else. Maybe it is internal communication or leadership internally that is wrong. Maybe it is people management that is wrong. Maybe it is money management that is wrong. Maybe it is, well, the sense of business development, continuity that you do not have. So if we have a discussion around that, it definitely would, would help each and every person who potentially wants to start a business or who is already running a business. So that's the reason why I'm particularly passionate about this topic because the first question I'd like to throw out is, particularly for in the legal um, in the legal field. So, say for example, um, a company that just shutting down, or say they still have situations where they can still salvage the circumstance. What do you think is the next action in line that they need to kind of look out for? Say, well, because they're having customers' money, we are just looking at let's say fintech that has the permission to hold people's money, and then they are shutting down. We could say, okay, maybe cross-border money transfer, maybe crypto, maybe gift card, whatever the case is in fintech. Yeah. So, what do you think are the legal precautions that needs to be taken for them to, well, maybe communicate with their customers, their users, or need to be aware of so that they would not kind of get in trouble? Yeah, that's for Josephine. Sorry.
Yes, yes. Please, can you hear me? Because I changed my device. Can you hear me, please? Okay,
Yeah.
you can. Okay, so well, the this situation is very, very. Will I say? I don't want to use the word complex, but there are so many reasons why a company would shut down. We can call it forced shutdown. Um, we have a scenario that was painted for us before we came for the meeting. That's a different reason why the business could shut down due to government policies. And then when you talk about fintech, also you look at the reason why they are shutting down and use the word if they are licensed, if they have the permission to carry out that activity. So one of the requirements, the legal requirement, regulatory compliance requirement is that the deposits, the money involved, the deposits of customers is insured by the central bank of Nigeria. So if you say they have the permission to carry out the activities, it means that they have been licensed to carry out such activity. So if they are licensed to carry out such activity, I believe that they would have done all the regulatory. They will have ticked some checklists, some list, some items on their checklist. And one of the important things that CBN would insist is the insurance of their customers' money. So we can see that from Heritage Bank. Well, Heritage Bank is a traditional bank, but when the CBN revoked its license, of course, that has to be a forced shutdown. But they also they also released a circular that okay, they were going to refund customers money to the tune of 5 billion naira almost immediately, and they were going to make arrangements for further refunds. And that's why because the NDIC has insured that money. The money is insured with the NDIC. So I would say, first of all, I would say for them to be able to prepare for such unforeseen circumstances, I won't say that's an unforeseen circumstance because if you are shutting down because they revoke your license, the regulatory body must have been giving you some kind of warning and a regulatory requirement would have been listed for you to see. So it's something that the board of directors or people managing the day-to-day activities of the business should be aware of. So if they so if they have been receiving kind of maybe notices from the commission that you need to do this, you need to comply with this and that, and they know that this is coming very soon, they should have taken steps, and those steps is to protect their customers' money. So for fintech that is licensed, I don't believe that customers will lose their money. People that actually lose money are the investors. Because of course, when you're investing, when I mean investors, I mean shareholders, people that have equity stake, ownership stake in the company because it's their money. They usually do lose their money in a system where that particular company is regulated, and let's say they already have insurance policies already, and they can use to caution. So if you look at the history of banks holding up, I don't think um, we have seen scenarios where customers have lost their money. We just see that, oh, maybe this bank and the other bank comes together, there's a merger, there's an acquisition, but the customer still gets their money. But however, it can affect the
Okay, we lost you for a bit. Can anybody hear me?
investment. Okay, yeah, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I hear you know, but
So I don't know if I've answered the first question.
I mean, you kind of touched on some of the most important points, but I'll come back to you, right? So I'm going to go to HR, people person, right? so so in the process of say companies are shutting down, what do you think is the most important thing that they should do with the people that I mean the staff members? Because without the people working, there's no business at all. There's absolutely no business. So what's the next action in line if there's a case of okay, we are shutting down and we've kind of tightened all of the loopholes, maybe loopholes, and the next people to kind of have conversation with is staff members. So what do you think must be done and how do you think they should do that to mitigate risk and damage control? Say they don't want bad things to go out, right?
All right. Thank you so much, Afiz. Okay, so like Josephine has said, it's very beautiful in the sense that when there's a forced closure, definitely the board of directors would know that something is about to happen, especially when these businesses, you know, don't comply to the government policies. So they already know, right? But unfortunately, in this side of the world we have, business owners feel that they don't have, any reason telling those that are working for them. And this usually cause a lot of impact on the people. So the first thing that you need to do is, as the HR person, first off, it's going to start from the get-go when you want to start your business. When you want to start your business, you speak to a HR professional that, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the kind of business I want to do. Then they know your vision and your mission. I'm always very particular about that. What is your vision and what is your mission? Then they help you to hire professionals on the job. You can't say you want to start a fintech company, for example, and you bring in quack people. They won't give you professional advice, because I know definitely from the get-go, if you hire a professional, they will tell you that these are the policies and this is the reason why we need to comply to these policies. That is the mistake a lot of business owners make from the get-go. Okay, fine. Let's just say they've hired quacks. Now it's now leading to forced closure of the business. The first thing you need to do is, as a HR professional, you need to communicate to the staff. You need to tell them this is the situation of things. And when you are communicating with staff, you need to be very sensitive at this period. You need to be sensitive and be transparent to the people. You can't lie to them, because at the end of the day, it causes anxiety and lack of trust for that business. And at the end of the day, that will affect the brand itself. If it is a brand that, okay, let's just say this is going to be a temporary closure and they are having plans in coming back, don't spoil your brand reputation. That is why you need to be transparent with these people. Because when you go to job boards, you will see job boards like Glassdoor, where you have ratings of your business. If you are not transparent with the people, you will see ratings of 1, and that is not good for your business, because professionals will not want to work for you. So you don't go that route. You need to be very transparent with the people. I have it written here. Then you need to provide context. What I mean is, you need to explain the reason behind the closure. You need to tell them, okay, we've broken a policy, and this is the reason why this business would shut down permanently or temporarily. You need to provide a context to them, because these are people. You cannot elude labor, because it's one of the factors of labor. You can't take it out. People will definitely work for you. Even, yes, we have artificial intelligence taking over the jobs, but at the end of the day, who is in charge of this artificial intelligence? It is still people, which also equates to labor, right? Then you need to outline the impact. You need to outline the impact of the closure. What I mean is how it will affect the work schedule this time around. Okay, it's about to happen. This is what will be the new work schedule. If it's for staff that you want to lay off, let them know. If it is for the talent, because I don't call them talent anymore, because at the point of talent acquisition, I call them talent. The moment you come into the business, you've started to bring in ideas, innovations. I don't call them talent anymore. I call them resource, right? You need to speak to these resource persons already. You need to talk about the work schedule. When COVID-19 happened, we saw that the work system changed and the work schedule changed. People are no longer going on site now. People are not doing remote work. People are not doing hybrid work. You need to communicate that with them and provide support system. There are different support systems that you can use. Training and development. If it's for resource that you know that, okay, the business can no longer afford them, speak to other job providers. There are different methods we can go about it, providing them healthcare. Healthcare is very important. For those that don't have money, give them access to their retirement fund, the pension, and all of that. So there are different stages, but at the end of the day, the first thing you need to do is you need to properly communicate with the people, because at the end of the day, if you don't communicate with the people, it's going to affect your brand. I think I will stop for now so that I can give room for others to talk.
Yes, I think it's getting very, very interesting. So the last thing you talked about is, I mean, you talked about communication a few times, and it is key. And this is the reason why I want to go to Adebayo. The When it comes to leadership, organizational leadership, we understand that communication is key. How you communicate it is also very important. So let us know, in this situation where the scenario where Taye actually just explained, whether it is that maybe you want to talk to your the subordinates right from the top to the bottom or bottom to the top, however the case is, whichever works. So, what is the most effective way that leaders, say founders, say shareholders are supposed to be carried along in this kind of situation?
Can I get a question?
Yeah, I'm talking about
I understand
communication.
the context.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the
Yeah.
most effective way to communicate these kinds of shutdown, whatever kind of shutdown it is. So if it is to communicate with the shareholders, founders communicating with all other stakeholders that are involved, from top to bottom to the board, whatever the case is, what is the most effective, or how do you think that they should do the communication? How effective, what effective way can be used to communicate that?
All right. I would, first of all, I would say that it starts with culture, the culture of the organization. Communication starts with culture. Because one of the things that I have noticed is that leaders, most business leaders in this part of the world, calls a successful business their business, then the failing business our business. I've seen that trend a lot. That when a business is making money and the figures are coming in, everything is going well, smoothly, the staff has very feedback from them. In most cases, you see the staff get very few feedback. There's this popular thing that people say that at the end of the year, they come together and they give us, the staff will say that they give us pizza to celebrate a wonderful year. But the directors fly to Dubai and they fly to other part of the world to celebrate a successful year. So I've seen that it's a culture. If you start your company in that way, it will be very difficult to effectively communicate when there's crisis. So you have to, from the beginning of the organization, value the staff that you have, and you communicate along the way. When a business is doing well, you let them know why the business is doing well. You let them know that the business is doing well. Everything still goes back to our culture. Even our natural condition growing up, it affects the way we actually do things. You barely see any Nigerian or any African that will tell you that, oh, business is booming and I have money. You will start hearing, statements like, oh, we are all looking up to God's face, so we are all looking this and that. Oh, things are hard, things are every single time things are hard. And you look at these people's books, the figures are going up, and you're like, okay, when things are soft, what do you expect? So it's a culture. We need to actually change our culture. We need to change our culture right from the beginning. If you are starting, no matter how small the business is, if you have just one staff strength, or 5 or 20, when things are going well, you must inform those staff or that one staff that what, if your name is, let's say, Hannah, what you are doing is yielding to XYZ, the business is doing well. Because you have index. Of course, nobody just starts business in the black and expecting things except you are ignorant. But most people, educated people, as index, they have their benchmarks and all that. So when you hit a particular benchmark, you tell your staff that we have done well in XYZ period. And if there's anybody to be rewarded, you reward them accordingly. So when there is a problem, even if it's an unforeseen like circumstances, for instance, maybe government changed and new policies start coming in, and you started seeing or experiencing all manner of issues that you do not prepare for, it's easy for you to go back to those staff to say that, hey guys, this is what is going on. So you are 20, but if we cannot fix this problem, you might become 15. But if you have not carried these people along from the beginning, you do not value what they do. Every day you are complaining, you only respect your shareholders and your funders. It will be very difficult to actually communicate effectively with your staff. So valuing of your staff, creating a culture of appreciation, consistent communication is where the thing starts. I hope I've answered the question.
I mean, you massacred the question. That's what you did. So it's not a matter of answering, right? So because you talked about culture, yeah, culture is very important as to even, you know, I'm a very strong believer in, as long as you have culture, you need to also have a very strong process, because if you have a very strong process, it's easy to plug and It's easy to plug anybody into a process that works. And when you have that, it means that, okay, well, whenever you have maybe crisis, how do we need to resolve it? We have a process for that. Whenever we have unforeseen circumstances, well, who do we need to call? How do we need to put team together to identify those hands that are capable enough to kind of get this thing done? If we say culture, yeah, and inside the culture, we there's a close connect with how businesses are developed, which is business development, and that's the reason why I left these two exceptional guys in the end of the questions, right? So I'm going to go to Samad first because money is very important. It's very very important. As long as you have ideas, as long as you have the know-how, you need money to develop those things. You need money to expand. You need money to scale. You need money for the velocity and speed, if that is important to you, whatever is important. So, in business development, um, I'm using tech because tech is very easy to kind of, have an idea and then you find one or two people to build. Well, if you build it well, you are able to scale if you're able to do that well. So when a business shuts down and they have maybe they have money or they don't, what is the most important thing that they need to do after they've communicated, after they have a very good culture, after they have a culture of appreciating their staff, after they have a culture that works in ensuring that they have good communication? Yeah. So, what do you think they are the things that they need to do to ensure that even if they have a plan to bounce back, what is the relation to bouncing back to the finances that they need or the finances that they have? How do they need to kind of go around that?
Okay, thank you, Afis. Am I loud and clear?
Very clear, very loud.
I would want to go back
Yeah,
to
I can hear you. I can hear
yeah. I would want to go back to the for two immediate past speakers who spoke about having the people at the center of your culture. I think it's very important to know that as businesses, the people will drive, even if it is the technology you want to use to push, if it is the service delivery you want to push, the people are at the center of it. And it led us to another issue of communication. And I want to tell us that communication, the right communication, and the people that are the center of your business are responsible for your reputation. For instance, now we have an issue on our hands that we are trying to discuss, the issue of the landmark ecosystem, and we saw what has happened. It was something that was unforeseen, but I would say it was due to a lack of due diligence, because I made my findings and I got to understand that uh, it was a temporary occupation list that they had on that set portion of their business. So if you have a temporary occupation list, it would be expected that you have a temporary structure on such a facility. You wouldn't have a temporary occupation list and go into building a structure that is permanent. And the federal government, from their own perspective, from their own end, are saying they have no right of way on that particular infrastructure. So it's not about who is right or who is wrong here. When you put the people and the communication together and you try to avoid reputational damage, it takes us to the issue of the shareholders fund. Who are the people who have the equity in your business? Is the business driving itself? Are you running on facilities, on credits from banks or finance houses? Or you have a set of shareholders who are responsible for your finances? Now, if you have a set of shareholders who are responsible for your finances, you would agree with me now that you have started to pay back the people who subscribed to the services, there will be a margin. I don't know if it is going to be gross because I'm not privy to their finances, but I'm very sure that the debt to equity ratio of their business will have gone up. So their shareholders, the first thing they have to do is to watch out for the traction the news have generated. It's all over. all over. And when you see that the traction is something that you can leverage on, it's very, very key, it's very germane to ensure that they do not get it so badly more than they have already. And I don't pray they have a run on their business, but this little bit of traction here and there about the news going on, it gives you if you're a shareholder and you have your millions of dollars, let me say, because it's an international business. I heard that yeah, it's even a 150 million. They've sunk more than 150 million dollars into that enterprise. I'm very sure that the business is vast, so it's not a total closure of their business. They have an ecosystem where they are into real estate, they are into hospitality, they are into lifestyle. But this particular closure we're talking about is very integral because let me say it's more of their most popular business. So we are talking about people, we are talking about communication, we are talking about openness. These are the ingredients they need to manage reputational damage. And once this reputational damage is well controlled, they wouldn't have a run on their finances. And I think their shareholders' funds will be right intact. Thank you.
This is amazing. Because I've been hearing, I think everything is connected because what I've been hearing since is communication, communication, manner of communication, right? Because even if on a personal level you have something that you're dealing with, and then you have a partner, either in business or whatever relationship it is, communication is the most important thing. How you communicate that, when you communicate that, is just to put it forward in a way that, I mean, it doesn't get everybody panicking and they are aware. Taye said, you need to be honest and transparent, you know? And the honesty and transparency, whatever damage control that you want to do, you want to let them be aware that this is going on out there and this is what is going on here and this is what we want to do, right? So, and then Josephine said, many of the people that suffer from all of these things are their customers. And it's very important that, well, due diligence, like you said, if we all start doing due diligence before we kind of erect anything on anywhere, anyhow, I think it will save us a lot of damage. So thank you very much, Samad, for that. So talking about damage control, reputation, due diligence, all of these things kind of, well, they are intertwined. But shifting away from that, say for example, and this is going to be to Kenneth. Let's say a business doesn't have other means of revenue generation, right? And then this happened, and we know very well that things just don't happen like that. There's always a build up. There's always a build up to something. So, what do you think should be the next line of action to do? And well, how do they need to pivot? Maybe they need to start thinking of, well, something else to do. Maybe if they have the finances, we got shut down here, but we have the opportunity to do this, that, and that. So what do you think is the best thing for them to do if that happens from a business development perspective? And then channeling that to IT, right?
I think it's been a wonderful conversation. I've just been learning a lot from the speakers here. I think the last Samad just did justice in a very short and direct answer to the last series of questions that was being told around. I was trying to connect the dots, but Samad did that very well. He connected the dots very well. So one of the things that I think um, in terms of uh, business closure, when in terms of continuity, whether there's money, there's no money. I would always say it like there's no smoke without fire. And one of the things I learned in 2020, one of my businesses was supposed to crash, and we pivoted. And one of the things we did as of 2020, because we're working physical. In short, as a matter of fact, we're working physical. We're on site, working physical. We attend to our clients physically. Our products were physical products. And, again, like you would always say, a vision, like a speaker said here, a vision is very key. you must know what you are going in for. I see so many people these days, especially when it comes to tech. Tech is so simple to to formulate. It's just like the dot-com boom. Same thing that is still happening now. In short, now I think it's happening even more in Africa. People just wake up in the morning, just, oh, I'm creating this, I'm creating this, I'm creating that, and joining up together. And oh, it's the startup now. Oh, before you know, there's a funding. And the question is always, um, what's the major drive? Like, what's the major drive itself? You understand? And I think that's why even the landmark we're talking about is can still be breathing. They are still breathing because there is a there's a there is a in cybersecurity we'll call it a BCP. We'll say what's your business continuity plan? You get it now because we want to be able to understand, okay, if there's a threat, if there's a crash right now, what's going to happen. And um, most of businesses do not have this because you have to look at the aspect first of all that um, um, I'm not sure it's a business. I would always say it 1,000 times. It's a business, and you're never certain what will this at what point in time because you do not control every forces that makes a business what a business is. You control majority of the forces, and most of the time you try your best to make sure you control major part of the forces. That's what keeps you operational. But sometimes when those parts you could control go off the deck, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to maintain. So I think one of the things you look at is your part to first of all what the business really stands for. Your part to what vision you have. Not only the vision, what's people will say business plan. I wouldn't just call it business plan, because even business plan can be a lie. Like I would always say, like business plan can be like there's business plan when you see it and even to yourself that you're the business owner, you're lying. It's not going to work. You understand it now, but you need to be able to create a form of um just culture, but a form of understanding, basic understanding towards what you're trying to achieve collectively. You get it now? And that's what is going to even save you. Because, first of all, a crash starts mentally before it even starts. If a business can crash financially, but it has not crashed mentally, it can still survive. You get now because I've seen a situation where we have businesses getting time past that has gone through really bad times, really really bad times. I trade the stock, the stock exchange, and sometimes when you try to read some companies and you see how bad it has been, and you find out oh, you don't give it 6, 7, 8 years. It's just sometimes they will call them penny stocks now, or it's just like trading like a penny stock or something. But at the end of the, you just say climb me back, and climb back, and climb back, and it's up. Do you understand? Because sometimes when you look at the personalities behind these businesses, it's bigger than just what you look at in terms of starting of the business. It's more about the perception around the business. It's more
Mm.
about why the business started. It's more about the individuals running the business. What are they running the business? Are you running for money, for profit? Is there just a collective? Even if you're running for money, it's not bad.
Mhm.
You get me? But let it just be a
I
time
mean,
base
I mean, the
towards
purpose,
what you think it would be.
the purpose of running a business is to make money, right? Right?
Yes, of course,
Yeah,
of course. That's what
business.
I'm saying. I said, even if
Exactly.
even even if it's just money,
Right. So,
yes,
so
even if
I
it's just
think,
money, just
I, I think,
have
I think
something about it.
some of the most important thing you said is that you must always have continuity plan. It is very important. And then the second thing is, well, that is very hilarious, but true. Sometimes business plans are lies, right? I had to laugh. Sometimes they are lies because you want to make it as beautiful as possible. You want to glorify it on paper that as long as it makes sense to me, even if it is not realistic, it's just like being in La La Land. You are in Oju Elegba, but your mind is in Johannesburg or maybe New York in the US, right? So you need to see through the reality on ground and then work towards that, work with that. So and then you said the preparedness. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared just in case something happens. Well, the vision you have, initial vision you have, would be a drive. but at the same time, you don't have to be delusional. So because of all of this here, because everything that we've been saying since is based on three things. One, there's a crash, or maybe a crash is coming. What do we need to do? How do we need to communicate it? Which is communication. Two, well, a crash is coming. How do we still need to keep people together, right? And find a way to kind of either pivot or to utilize the alternatives that we have, right? Well, inside that we have, well, before we do anything, we need to do our due diligence. Very, very important. Because, well, even if you want to get married, you have to do your due diligence. Where, what home is this one coming from? What does it do? Ladies will do that a lot. They do a lot of due diligence, but they will never tell you. They act as if they don't know anything, but they know too much, right? If I'm lying, please let me know. The ladies on the call, right? So it is very important that all of these things are being put out there. So we've spent time on this call, but I need to hear one final remark from each person because it's very important. We'll start with Samad.
Okay, thank you, Afis. Just to recap, I again want to say, a big thanks to all the professionals on this call tonight. It's been kind of an engaging and a very eye-opening session. I just wanted to add, yes, thanks to Kenneth who spoke expansively on the issue of the BCP. It's always in your risk management framework that as businesses you should have that as a point of focus. It is very integral to your business. If where I have a branch, for example, is impacted, can my business succeed to the next level? Can I have access to the market? Can my customers have access to my services? Those are the questions as business people you have to ask in your risk assessment when you are doing the BCP. And let me say that one of the fastest way for them to cushion the effect of this partial closure, because it's not a total closure, is about one, maybe they could dip their hands in their slush fund. I know it's a decade-long business, so it's not as if they just started today and the government is coming up a month later to say, oh, you this greenfield, now you are here, we want to make use of our road. I know for a fact a business well run should have a slush fund against such impacts like this. And they might have one or two, financial instruments, fixed deposit, treasury bills, promissory notes, government bonds, euro bonds that they can tap into just liquidate some of the reputational damage. It doesn't impact you so much. The narrative of what is happening on the media is very, very important, because if they do not and they leave the narrative to the federal government to say, they'll be on the receiving end. So now, just like Kenneth said, if you don't lose the mental hedge, in cases where you even want to go down, even if you lose finances but you don't lose out mentally, you can still bounce back up. So it's very important for them as at this point to know that yes, they might lose some battles to win the major war. So it's not the end of the landmark ecosystem. Thank you very
Much,
much.
Samad. Thank you very much, Samad, for that. Adebayo, please, we need to also hear from you. Final remark.
All right. It's been enlightening. Thank you for the opportunity to learn from these guys here. Thank you to every speaker so far. For me, I believe one thing. In almost any part of the world, except you are in an extremely volatile environment, like a real war zone, businesses getting shut down abruptly. I don't see anywhere you are running a business and government will say, hey, close down by tomorrow, even in the most extreme areas in this part of the world. So there's this thing we say hilariously on social media, like we all know what we are doing. So the thing is inherent in us. We take advantage of every single thing. We don't like doing the right things. And if you look at businesses that have shut down in the past, There are several factors that impacted that, but one of the most important factors is always land issue. Land issue. And the lawyer spoke today that you have to do your due diligence, because if you don't pay the cost of a good lawyer now, bad lawyers will put you in trouble. You will not be looking for good lawyers in the future. And at that time, it won't be just 2 or 3 staff members that will be in trouble. It will not be a lot of customers, a lot of shareholders, and so on. So what I have observed, dealing with business owners in this part of the world, is that we are not sincere people. That's a fact. See, government issues, we can speak about government problems from now till tomorrow. The time will not be enough. Government will continue to give us problems. Government don't solve problems that much. They give us problems. But as a business owner, you have to be ahead of government. You have to make sure that even when there is a problem tomorrow, you are not a problem. And you know, government is very careful when they are dealing with you and they know that you've done every single thing you need to do. They are careful. But government is dealing with you and they find out that out of 10 things, you've not done one. My goodness. That's one. They will use every trick in the book to make sure that you pay for it. So, there's this example I usually use when I'm teaching people. I tell people that, see, doing the right things is good, but doing the right things the right way is better. For instance, because we've been speaking since morning for a while now, and you are hungry, you want to go to your kitchen, you probably want to prepare noodles, yeah? And you are preparing your noodles, and you put salt and sugar and all manner of things that were not supposed to be in the noodles. You are cooking, right? Emotionally. Something is telling you that, okay, your food will soon be ready. But by the time the food is done, you realize that you can't eat the food. So you're probably doing the right thing, but you are not doing that thing in the right way. So the onus lies on the leaders, because there are many, many, many smart staffs in these organizations that know what the problem is, that can even solve the problem. But it is not on them. For me, leadership is decision making. So if you're not part of the leader, you can't make decisions. So the leaders have to be the one making decisions. And they have to make decisions that does not put their organizations in trouble. We like to take advantage of systems. See, behind closed doors, if I tell you the names of organizations that I know in that country called Nigeria and here that are not doing the right thing, you will be surprised. So when the things they've been doing catch up on them in the next 3-5 years, people will be all over the place shouting about federal government. We are not new to federal government tricks. We've been seeing this kind of techniques or strategies before independence, post-independence, during the military era, and now. It's not the same people we are dealing with. They wear military uniform today, they wear civilian uniform tomorrow. The same politicians. So we are not new to their tricks. But one bottom line is that government also wants money. They want taxes. So it is not in their own interest to shut down businesses. But if you don't do your things the right way, you will give them reason to shut you down. So I use my mic for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adebayo. So, Tai, please, final remark.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. So for my final remarks, for a business owner, please hire the right people. I keep buttressing on it. One person in a team, a wrong person in a team can destroy an entire business. Hire the right person. And when you hire the right person, what is your retention plan for such people? The system is gradually changing. Workplaces are gradually changing. Years ago, it was fully on site. You see businesses keying into flexible work arrangements, keying into trainings and development, keying into regular checks in, work culture, tailor it in such a way that a resourceful person would stay longer on the job. It's not about you filling your head count. Don't say because a company has a budget of 5 persons, you just randomly pick somebody from the street and say, okay, 5 people, have already gotten you 5. No, when the HR person gets you the right person for the job, what is your retention plan? Pay them well, it's another thing. Don't be looking for cheap labor. Exactly, don't look for cheap labor. Pay them well. Because if you want a resourceful person to stay on the job, if your retention plan is 100%, trust me, the chances that your business will crumble, because every business definitely will have their storms, But regardless, that business is going to stand. So please, retention plan is very, very important for every single HR, and the leaders should always key into talent retention plans whenever proposals are being brought to their table. So that would be my final remark. Thank you so much.
I mean, I think the Impact Merger did a great thing to bring these great minds together. That's all I can say. But would shift that to the end, right? So, Kenneth, the final remark.
Well, I think the intelligent people, intelligent discussion, intelligent people, intelligent discussion. I don't need that. I think if you have anybody to go through this recording, and just like I think it was Taida was speaking last, you know, you find out that you virtually have gotten a epistle of paid content that probably will be over a billion naira. My remarks are always kind of more lengthier. I just want to keep the time as much as possible. You know me now.
Right, right, right. Thank you for doing
Right,
that.
right, right. Thank you for
So,
doing that.
finally,
So finally,
Jocelyn, your
All
final
right.
remark.
Okay. So let me be round. I'll round up with this. Okay. So initially, I spoke in relation to a fintech company because, like I said, there are so many reasons why a business I want to shut down. And when it comes to legal implications, the fact of each case determines the route that you would take. So I would like to speak on the landmark issue. Okay, yes, there was a compulsory acquisition of their land, and of course, they affected their businesses and all that. So when it comes to their rights and what they can do, how they can culture, because if you're acquiring a piece of land, um, you need to do your due diligence, right? On Thursday, I was in a real estate conference where even the chairman of Landmark and even their legal officer was there, like their head of legal was there, and they were talking about. Although they didn't really touch much on the current issue that is affecting their business, right? So when go- it now depends when government acquires your land, right, because of overriding public interest. You know, the beginning is that we all have rights to own land in Nigeria, right? That's the constitution. But however, the government can acquire your land compulsorily if they want to use it for public interest purposes. But you are entitled to compensation. So one of the ways that they can it's not a total loss actually. Yes, government has acquired their land if it was properly acquired. If they actually have good title to the land, probably they got a certificate of occupancy from the government and the right, they can apply for compensation. So the law says that when there is a compulsory acquisition for public interest, you need to compensate them. But there's always an issue over whether compensation is adequate or not.
Mhm.
So they have remedy. The remedy they can use is they can apply for compensation, but then they have to like engage professionals to help them with that. So and also they can also contest the acquisition if the proper procedure is not followed. Because what the law says is that the acquisition should be done in a lawful manner and for a prescribed purpose. So lawful manner has to be procedure. So if there is anything wrong with the procedure of such acquisition, it's something that can be challenged. They can actually challenge such. And we have plethora of cases where people have challenged acquisition, where people have claimed compensation and they have gotten compensation. But whether the compensation is adequate or not is another issue entirely because there have been arguments on um the measures on how compensation is being measured because compensation is measured according to what is written in the law statutorily. If the law says this is how compensation is supposed to be meted out, that is what the government officials will follow. And
Mm.
but then they don't really look at the investment that the business owners have actually made in the business. So they just issue compensation. So whether compensation is adequate is another issue. Then we look at the contractual when it comes to the contract between them and their customers. Like I said, what I said was that when something like this happens, if customer wants to suffer, no, it's not. They don't really suffer that much because you have to do everything to ensure you might not get money, you might not get your money almost immediately because of what is affecting their bill, but they must ensure that your money is paid. If you are a customer, let's say you have money with them, or let's say, but there's this doctrine that we call the doctrine of frustration in law. It means that when there is a contractual agreement and something unexpected happens, you know, the obligation under the contract can be discharged. Maybe something you did not plan for. And that's why we usually have this clause in the contract, the first major clause, where maybe there's a war, there's a government policy, earthquake, things like that happen. Just imagine, okay, what if it was not government that acquired the land? There was an earthquake happened in Nigeria and they lost their whole, that's the doctrine of frustration. So and there are rules that guide that. They cannot implement their contract because of frustration, you get your money back, the customers get their money back. Is that's another aspect. So and it also what also is also important is what is in their terms of service. You're subscribing to the service of a company, they have their terms of service. Do they have this clause, the first major clause? The first major clause will list out the items that they would consider as unexpected. Sometimes also list out the procedures that they would take to caution all these things. So another aspect we want to also look at is consumer protection. Now, let's say that the reason why I say that customers, you might not get your money immediately, but you might not completely lose it. And that is why they have to ensure that they pay you your money. Because under the Companies and Allied Matters Act, right, if a company cannot pay its debt within 3 weeks, as low as 200,000 naira, let's say the creditor of the company is owing money and the company cannot pay its debt, as a creditor, you can file a petition for winding up. It means that this company cannot pay its debt, this company is bankrupt, let's wind the company up. And what happens when the company is about to be wound up or the winding up process? They sell off the company and the asset of the company, the money they make from the asset of the company, they use to pay all. That's like kind of last resort kind of thing. So because they know the consequences of what can happen if they don't make sure that they treat their customers right, they want to treat the customers. So these are the rights that customers should have. You can file a petition for winding up if they don't pay you after you have demanded for your money. You can also report them to regulatory body like the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection. You file your complaints there, but before you file your complaint there, you must have engaged engage with your vendor. If they're not responding, then you file your complaint, and then they come into the whole situation. They mediate. Sometimes they provide solutions. Sometimes they involve industry regulators. So these are things that. So there's a whole lot to look at, right? So like I said, the fact of the case will determine the step that you would take for that particular situation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Josephine. You mentioned one thing about reading policies. Do people even read in this part of the world? People don't read. People don't read. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. So I want to especially thank every single person um, who is a panelist on this call, because it's not enough to come and talk, but it is most important to talk um, about the most valuable things, to dish value from what you're saying, right? And that's exactly what everyone did. And again, because this is the first conversation the Impact Badger is having as a panel conversation, we're going to be having more in coming weeks and months, right? And then we look forward to, well, bringing you guys at different intervals, because this, all of your expertise, you're dishing like 0.00 something something percent of what your value is, right, on this call, because it is not enough time. We are creating a community, and that community begins with what we are doing right now. And eventually, the expertise that you guys have, you are going to be, um, giving the number of people that we have in the community, because it is not enough for you to say you are rendering your service to X company. It will be enough for you to say, okay, well, I'm rendering my service to company A, and I have quite a number of people that I'm also helping to get to understand specific things. So mentorship is also involved, because I'm pretty sure that everyone here would want to be a mentor to somebody who wants to do something that you're doing in your field, right? Wants to give clarity to them, wants to help them, because a lot of young people are kind of, they are not sure where to go. They are not sure what to do. So maybe your guidance, your mentorship is going to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, look in this direction," right? And that's exactly what we want to do. And again, it it would also give some kind of recognition to your work, right? And then if we do that, it's giving credibility to the work that you're doing, right? So again, it is very much important for us to build a community, and that community begins from what we just did now. And I'm saying that welcome to the Impact Badger community, because we are pushing this forward. So
Yes, thank you for having us.
yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Thank you for
Thank,
agreeing to do this with me.
Cafe.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you,
So
guys.
have a great
Yeah,
one.
bye. I need to